Hi everyone, I'm back again, this time with a compatibility chart between Natalie Portman and Benjamin Millepied by request. Now, there's a lot of good things in this synastry chart between the two of them, but there's a lot of things that going on that ultimately didn't hold the relationship together. And I'm going to go over it and let you know what all the aspects are and how all the energies played in with each other. His amour conjuncts her north node, 2 degrees. This is really nice. I've talked about the north node before, so whatever conjuncts your north node from the other person will ultimately be the theme of the relationship for you. So amour is a love asteroid, and it's really nice. And so that was the main theme of the relationship. However, there's another asteroid in there conjuncting her north node as well, and that's called Lamia. And Lamia has to do with extreme grief that is overwhelming. And since it's conjuncting her north node, this means that in her life, she's experienced a lot of grief that was painful. Now, I don't know what that grief entailed in her life because she's not here to validate that. But in this relationship, there was a lot of grief concerning the love between the two of them. Her Juno and Pluto conjuncts his north node, 0 degrees. This is really nice as well, because Juno conjuncting his north node at 0 degrees, she was faithful and she was a really good wife, and that was the main focus of the relationship for him. But again, on his side, his asteroid Bacchus conjuncts his north node, and this means that there's an overindulgence in his life with I'm going to give you the different energies that the overindulgence with Bacchus represents, because Bacchus is like an Animal House theme, and there's either excess drinking. It's like you go to a bar and you don't have just 1 or 2 drinks, you have like 10. Or you go to a buffet and instead of having 1 plate, you load up like 10 plates. And it could also mean overindulgence in sex too. Now, I don't know which one of those energies coincides with him. But Bacchus, his north node and Bacchus are in the 2nd house. So maybe he spent too much money, or there was an overindulgence in luxury items and spending. But like I said before, Bacchus has the energies of overindulgence in drinking and partying. His Nessus, Sappho, Point of Fortune, and Casanova conjuncts her Venus and Mercury, 0 degrees and 2 degrees. So I'm going to break this down. Nessus has to do with abuse, and it's conjuncting her Venus, and Venus is a yin planet. The energies are Venus isn't yang like the sun, but Nessus is yang. So he was abusive towards her in the love department, and it was verbal abuse, I think, because it's also conjuncting her Mercury, which is a thinking and talking planet. Since his Sappho conjuncts her Venus, this means in the beginning there was this eroticism and there was this magnetic pull between the two of them, which also goes back to the amour conjuncting her north node. But when you have a bunch of different asteroids all holding hands, they all contribute their energies to the dynamics of the relationship. So we have Sappho, highbrow eroticism. Over time, there was abuse in this relationship through communication, and also Casanova is there. Casanova, the sweet talking ladies man, thrill of the chase. And he really talked her into, he knew how to seduce her with his words. But Casanova also has to do with cheating. Now, his Point of Fortune is in this mix, and that magnifies the energies of whatever it touches, because the Point of Fortune is like a mini Jupiter. So we have this magnification of, it conjuncts her Venus, so she fell for him, and there's Casanova, sweet talking ladies man. So that's how all these dynamics, the energies worked together. Also, his grief conjuncts her Mercury, 2 degrees. So again, he brought her a lot of grief in their communication with each other. And it's validated by the planetary aspects as well, which I will get to. So it's like, oh, geez, this again, good grief, that sort of thing. It just a dissension over time with the way they communicated with each other. Her Jupiter conjuncts his Ceres and Poseidon. So here's more validation concerning cheating. Jupiter, like I've said before, is the largest planet in the solar system, and it magnifies the energies of whatever it conjuncts. So her Jupiter conjuncting his Ceres, which is a love asteroid. He fell in love. He loved her. There was, in the beginning, unconditional love, like a family, very familiar. But over time, her Jupiter is also conjuncting his Poseidon, and that's a cheating asteroid. Poseidon, it was the brother of Zeus, another prolific cheater. Now, his Tristan conjuncts her Isolde, 1.5 degrees. I normally only keep those conjunctions between Greek mythology figures when they conjunct together. I usually only keep it at 1 degree. But since this is at 1.5, I'm going to explain those energies anyway. So Tristan and Isolde is like the English version of Romeo and Juliet. It's a tragic love story, and Tristan and Isolde they drank the magic potion and they fell in love. And then after a while, things fell apart, and Isolde ended up marrying King Mark. So there's a love triangle involved here with Tristan and Isolde. What's interesting about this is that she's the one, her Isolde is conjuncting his Tristan. So I don't know if she's going to marry someone else, but nonetheless, this still spells a tragic love story between two people. And you could actually look up the story behind Tristan and Isolde on Google. His finale and Dolores conjuncts her moon, 2 degrees. I'm a big fan of the moon and the sun in a synastry chart. And I firmly believe, and not only do I believe, but I know that if you have negative energies from asteroids conjuncting your moon, you're going to feel it strongly, because the moon is a very important asset. It's a very important aspect in the synastry charts between two people. So whatever conjuncts your moon, it better be good. And in this case, it isn't, because his finale and Dolores, that has to do with the endings of the relationship, bringing great pain and suffering. That's the asteroid that Dolores represents, and it's conjuncting her moon. So to me, I would have warned her and said, yes, there can be a lot of love between the two of you, but over time, these other asteroids are going to show up, and their energies will affect you. So this finale and Dolores together kind of reminds me of the Tristan and Isolde connection, because it's tragic and heartbreaking, actually. And there's the cheating too as well. His Jupiter conjuncts her Iphigenia, 0 degrees. And Iphigenia has to do with victimization and subservience. And so she felt that she had to obey and be in this relationship and subservient, but she was ultimately victimized. Also, his ballbuster, Uranus and Typhoon, conjuncts her ascendant, 2 degrees. And ballbuster is pretty much self-explanatory. You know, when somebody, they're a ballbuster. They kid around, but they joke, but it hurts you, and it's critical, and it's just not a nice asteroid to have conjuncting your ascendant, because the ascendant is very important also in a synastry chart. The angles, which include the ascendant, descendant, the IC, and the midheaven. His Uranus conjuncts her ascendant as well, and this is very unstable. You never know what's going to happen from this person, and it can seem very exciting at first, but over time it becomes it gets tiring. And with the ballbuster there, it's not a nice energy. And Typhoon is there as well, which has to do with overwhelming psychological events that affect you strongly. And this would also tie into those asteroids conjuncting her moon as well. So, when you have a synastry chart and there's a lot of love in the beginning, you have to make sure that the good stuff outweighs the bad stuff or challenging parts in the compatibility chart between the two of you. Because no compatibility chart is perfect. But this chart, the negative energies really did outweigh the positive things. And they don't have any moon-moon connections either. I'm a big fan of that as well. You can have a lot of strong backups to override the fact that there aren't any moon-moon connections, and they don't. Her young asteroid conjuncts his vertex 2 degrees, and her Uranus conjuncts his Freud asteroid 0 degrees. So now we have a back and forth pull between these two of trying to analyze each other's motives or what they're trying to convey in the relationship. They psychoanalyze each other, and it didn't work because of the following aspect I'm going to tell you. But first of all, her young conjuncts his vertex. Vertex, very important point in a synastry chart, and she will bring those energies into that. Psychoanalyzing, and her Uranus conjuncts his Freud, so she would do this sporadically, like, I'm trying to analyze you, and he's like, wait a minute, I'm the one that should be analyzing you. So we've got, Carl Jung here and Sigmund Freud, 2 psychoanalysts working with each other. It's crazy, which leads me to the next aspect. His Jupiter trines her Mad Hatter 1 degree. And Mad Hatter has to do with somebody that acts all crazy and they just blow up and then they blame you for the craziness. It's almost like a gaslighting sort of situation. So this is just a tug, push and pull, and it doesn't go anywhere. There won't be any resolve. Now his moon squares her Mercury. So again, we have this square with these two with communication and feelings. And he's oversensitive to her being critical and over-analytical of his feelings and temperament. And also there's a miscommunication between these two about their feelings. His Neptune squares her Mercury. Again, there's this vagueness about the communication, or where is this going? And if you can't resolve it here, you can't resolve it here. You're trying to psychoanalyze each other. And the Neptune person just gets frustrated and hides behind the seaweeds in the water, because Neptune, is a water sign and ruled by Pisces. So the fish swim behind the seaweed. They hide from the Mercury person because the Mercury person wants to know what's going on. And the Neptune person's like, I just can't deal with this. And then there's a mistrust develops between the two people. So that's all I have. And I hope you enjoyed this interpretation. And I will be seeing you shortly again with more synastry charts. And if you're interested, hit the subscribe button. Have a nice day.